Hey, good morning. Welcome to Bike Monologue number 2. Yesterday, I focused on curriculum and instruction in general. And one of the things that I touched on was assessment, assignments and assessments. And in virtual learning, we do have a concern with cheating, about cheating. We have a concern about people just Googling it, as they say, as I say. So what do we do to minimize or mitigate the cheating factor? One way to do that is to have a different type of assessment put in place that is higher stakes than, say, your typical multiple choice. One thing I did in AP Lit last year that I think I'll continue doing this year was before any writing assignment, I would give a multiple choice, just so the kids could get their heads around the prompt, whether it's a poem or a short piece, so that they can be sure that they find the evidence in the text, And then going to the prompt, then they have more confidence that they will be able to speak intelligently about the piece. Those multiple choice quizzes or tests are good in a way, and we should continue them, but perhaps it's just a warm-up, if you will, a low-stakes assessment that girds, I like that word, girds, that girds the more important assessment, which is more authentic. Those types of assessments could include projects, essays, portfolios, infographics, presentations, oral exams, and design your own assessments. I really like the idea of having the kids design their own assessments, submit them to you so that you can make sure that people aren't copying off each other, and then letting them have at it. We have several problems with designing assessments or any of these alternative assessments. First one's time. This drives me crazy. Okay? Time. We don't typically have enough time to spend on any one topic. And teachers who are, struggling with this have been changing their approach. Instead of breadth, instead of going wide, they're looking at depth in content, taking a novel going deep with it, taking a short story unit, developing a theme, going deep with the unit, poetry too. And we all need to consider that. Well, what if kids get bored, you might say? It's incumbent upon us as teachers, I think, to provide enough engaging questions and enough interesting activities to keep them from getting bored. You know, people will say, oh, we've been on this novel for a month. Well, vary up the activities a bit. You know, don't just hand them a study guide full of questions. Have them make up their own, right? Have them make up their own and contribute to a shared document, shared Google Doc, you know, and see how many of them they can answer, how many of the other questions they can answer. It's not a competition, it's a form of formative assessment. Let's see how well they are actually understanding what's happening. An important point to go with this is the idea that, you know, we're trying to teach kids, at least many of us are, how to ask good questions as opposed to find the answers. So if you teach the kids how to ask complex questions, open-ended questions, you're serving them well. You're serving them well. Because in the future, they're going to need to be able to ask those questions. The what about questions. The what if questions. The how come questions. The phrase, explain it to me. You know, being able to make those requests. We are a country that was built on a number of different things, both good and bad. But one that's important to remember is that we were built on the premise that citizens have the right to speak their mind. The First Amendment supports that. So we need to pay more attention to that First Amendment. We need to utilize it. Ooh, I hate that word. We need to use it. We need to invoke it. Good morning. Let me see. Bike monologues are tough, by the way. But we need to support the development of questioning. And I think that by doing that and also supporting the students' responses and helping them to develop good responses to their peers' questions, to our questions, we can start constructive dialogues. Instead of destructive ones. And build their confidence so that if they do get into a heated discussion, they're able to keep their cool and they're able to contribute. Hello. So, take a look at any of the videos on YouTube where a person is asked a simple question, and because they don't have the confidence to support their position, they just explode. And they use foul language. And they project their own feelings onto that other person. In order to provide a good education to the kids, first of all, we should not hold up those conversations as the model, which that seems to be the direction we're headed anymore. That it's okay to quote unquote speak your mind by bashing the other person. It doesn't make any sense. We need to support the students' First Amendment rights to question, to speak their mind, while also supporting the First Amendment by teaching them the skills to do that respectfully and constructively. That's how I feel. So we need to go from the type of assessments that ask students to find the answers to the type of assessments that ask students to ask the questions, to engage, to interrogate the text, to wonder, to relearn what is instinctive within us. We have a natural instinct to be curious, to wonder, to look to those who are caring for us and ask the why questions. There are a couple of pieces that I've learned about over the past couple of years. One is the thought piece. It's an informal piece. You just write out your thoughts about the text that you're encountering or the text set that you're encountering. complete sentences. The only requirement would be that you write in complete sentences. That's it. Could be one really long paragraph. It doesn't matter. Okay? But we want people to start thinking in complete thoughts. So, therefore, we should encourage them when they're writing these types of papers to write in complete sentences. The other one's a question paper, and this one's actually harder. It's sort of a thought piece in which there are two requirements: complete sentences, and they all must be in the form of a question. And I'm going to stress that this year. The question paper. Take a text set, and write a question paper. Again, informal, formative assessment that opens their minds and helps them to start creating good questions, helpful questions, constructive questions, discussion launching questions. That's what we need. We need more Socratic seminars too, or a Harkness table, or a restorative circle even. You need to teach kids how to approach difficult conversations in such a way that there are resolutions instead of fighting, instead of physically, instead of physical or verbal altercations. Instead of just walking away with no resolution at all. It needs to stop. Questioning also helps students to reaffirm their values. Students often need to do that, especially as they get older. What are their values? And if they're the same as their parents, cool. If they have a difference of opinion, then teachers can support that development as well. If they have feelings of cognitive dissonance, teachers can support that exploration, that journey, right? So let's really consider where education is going. And if necessity is the mother of invention, hey, we really need different forms of assessment right now. I want to thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day.